It's time for everybody's favorite subject, abortion. Oh boy, abortion. Kari Lake has sparked a big debate and criticism because in the past she praised Arizona's abortion law, but now she says she doesn't. Well, we have a statement from Kari Lake to read where she put it in her own words, but many critics are already calling her out saying she is pro-abortion. Welcome to the rock and the hard place, conservatives. If you concede your moral argument, you concede your moral argument. What's the idea? That Trump comes out and says, we're going to let the states decide whether they have abortion or not. And then you're basically saying that states get to choose when someone gets murdered. The issue is, are you for or against abortion? And it looks like conservatives are conceding they can't win politically if they come out in support of banning abortion. So then the argument, I suppose, is that Trump will claim he's not for it, but then secretly, once he's in, he will do something about it. I don't have to tell you, pro-lifers, you got a rock and a hard place right in front of you. Now let's take a look at what Kari Lake actually said. We have this. Kari Lake says, my statement regarding today's Arizona Supreme Court abortion ruling. This is from a couple days ago. And Kari Lake did say she was going to come out with a statement. I don't have that pulled up. I'll double check just to make sure. Because if she does put it out, we definitely want to make sure that we get her statement on this. And I don't believe. OK, so she says tomorrow. And this, I guess, technically was last night. When did she post this? At 1 a.m. So it could be tomorrow. Tomorrow, I will be releasing a full video that outlines exactly where I stand on the issue of abortion. I hope that you will watch it. I hope you will share it. All right. Here's what Kari Lake said in a statement. Following today's Arizona Supreme Court abortion ruling. Okay, well, I got to pause. Let me give you the context real quick. So this is the big story. Arizona's got an 1864 law banning nearly all abortions in the state. The law is out of step with Arizonans, she said in a statement. She called on state lawmakers to come up with a solution that Arizonans can support. But Ms. Lake, an ally of Trump in the 2020 election denier, I like that they added that, had voiced enthusiastic support for the law less than 2 years ago, when she was in the midst of a scorched earth campaign for the Republican nomination for governor. Asked then what she thought of the ban, she said she was thrilled it existed and called it a great law. Asked for comment, the Lake campaign pointed to a post from Caroline Wren, a senior advisor for Ms. Lake, who insisted on Tuesday that Ms. Lake was not referring to the territorial era law in the interview, but in the 2020 appearance, Ms. Lake cited the 1864 law's number in the Arizona State Code. I'm incredibly thrilled we are going to have a great law that's already in the books. I believe it's ARS 133603. She said in a 2022 interview in the conservative circus with James T. Harris, she made other remarks. Ms. Lake's retreat from the fervent anti-abortion rhetoric of her early 2022 campaign reflects the sharp changes in the politics of abortion nearly 2 years since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. Okay, so here's what basically happens. Trump comes out and says, states' rights issue, no national ban. Pro-lifers are up in arms. No, you're abandoning the pro-life position. You are giving up the moral high ground. I believe that is the correct moral argument. I don't know that it's a winning political argument. I'm also not a staunch absolutist when it comes to banning abortion. But we'll talk about this. First, let me show you Kari Lake's statement, April 9th. Following today's Arizona Supreme Court abortion ruling, Kari Lake released the following statement. In addition to covering the state of Arizona as a fair and honest journalist for 27 years, I've traveled to every corner of the state on the campaign trail. I speak to more Arizonans than anyone, and it is abundantly clear that the pre-statehood law is out of step with Arizonans. I'm the only woman and mother in this race. I understand the fear and anxiety of pregnancy and the joy of motherhood. I wholeheartedly agree with President Trump. It's a very personal issue that should be determined by each individual state and her people. I oppose today's ruling, and I am calling on Katie Hobbs and the state legislature to come up with an immediate common sense solution that Arizonans can support. Ultimately, Arizona voters will make the decision on the ballot come November. As your senator, I will oppose federal funding for abortion, federal bans on abortion. As your senator, I will fight for baby bonuses, making adoption more accessible and affordable, strengthening the economy so that mothers can afford a baby, protecting IVF, extending the child tax credit, paid family leave, investing in childcare. I am not going to D.C. to legislate an issue that has been returned to the states. I'm going to D.C. to secure our border, strengthen our families, and help President Trump make America great again. Look, I'm not a staunch pro-lifer, so I actually like much of what she's saying so far. I think the issue with the Arizona law, and I think to be fair, Kari Lake's previous comment may have been like, oh, it's a great law. It's like a passive thing. And she was probably ignorant to the deeper meaning of that law. So people were coming out and being like, now Kari Lake's flip-flopping. And I'm like, whatever, man. Look, Kari Lake is the kind of person who will break it down for you and tell you if her position changed or not. And I'm going to make this assumption of Kari Lake because I got to be honest, had her on the show several times. And I've talked to a lot of politicians. There are very few who actually will just outright address a question instantly. Like, I've had a bunch of politicians where I'm like, how do you feel about Thing? And they'll go like, well, Thing is a great thing. And I'm glad you asked the question about Thing. And I'm like, stop. I say to Kari Lake, should biological weapons be allowed? She goes, no. There's no problem just saying that. I can respect that. Here's my assumption. I don't think Kari Lake really knew exactly the implications of the pre-territory or the pre-statehood law, where there's almost no exceptions. And she's probably saying now, look, I went and talked to a bunch of people and I realized nobody agrees with it. Like the current iteration of the law, it's got to be changed to be a bit more nuanced. Me? Yeah, I'm a moderate. I think that's fair. Laya Rose has chimed in. Laya Rose, of course, is a pro-life activist saying, Kari Lake's platform is pro-abortion. All right, I think it's fair to say she is an anti-abortion activist. I don't like describing people as pro-life or pro-choice. In her statement in plain English, let individuals and states decide whether or not to kill preborn children. I wash my hands of it. What a terrible disappointment. Laya Rose is morally consistent and logically correct. Sorry, Republicans. Welcome to the reality. The reality is regular people in this country don't care about killing babies. I know that all the Democrats are going to go, how dare you, Tim? They're not babies. They're fetuses. They're babies. Shut up. I'm sorry. And then people go, aha, this proves Tim doesn't care about killing babies. Dude, your moral arguments don't work on me if I've asserted a moral opinion. Now, if you want to talk about facts, we can debate facts, but moral opinions are based on internal philosophies and faith, and they're much more difficult. But let me explain. To all the pro-lifers, and look, Lila and Kari, they both follow me. Shout out. Fans of both. To pro-lifers who say killing a baby is murder, I have repeatedly asked questions that many can't answer. Here's one for you. Do you believe that an individual has a right to defend themselves and others in the instance an individual faces threat of death or great bodily harm? I'll give you a scenario. You're walking down the street, boop, 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 minding your own business, and you have your legally and constitutionally protected firearm. Let's say you got a 1911 45, and you see a guy about to kill another guy. Do you believe it is legally justified to stop that man before he kills the innocent person? I will make it unambiguous. There is a guy sitting on a park bench with his headphones on, and he's tapping away on his legs with pens like he's playing the drums. And then some crazy shambling guy walks over, pulls out a knife, and then is about to just literally kill this random guy on a bench. And you yell, stop. The guy with the headphones on can't hear you. The guy with the knife explicitly states that he is now going to end the life of this stranger and takes the blade. Do you believe you have a right to save that man's life? Okay, most two-way people, even many Democrats, are going to be like, yes, of course. Right? I mean, like, what do? He's going to kill the guy. You protect the innocent. The question is really simple. I don't want me to make it overly complicated. Do you believe that you have a right to defend the lives of others? Is it protected? The answer is yes. Okay. The question then becomes, you see a woman who is 8 months pregnant. 8 months. The baby can survive on its own. And a doctor has the tool to destroy the baby's body. That's what they do. They rip it apart. And you are standing there. You're at a clinic. And you can clearly see there's the doctor. And he goes, I am now going to terminate the life of this 8-month baby. Would you, in the same instance, intervene and use potential lethal force to stop that doctor from killing that baby? I have talked to people who are pro-life, and they went, yes. Like, just no question. And I can respect that. It's morally and logically consistent. If you believe killing a baby is aborting a baby is murder, then why would you not? And then I've met many who said, oh, well, it's different. It's different. Is that right? Here's the problem. You cannot argue that abortion is murder and at the same time argue that states have a right to determine when someone is allowed to kill someone else. No, let me clarify. Obviously, there's due process involved in the death penalty. I am also against the death penalty. It's a really difficult question. These are all very difficult questions. People then naively say, so you don't want to kill criminals and rapists, but innocent babies? No, I don't want to kill anybody. I want the babies to live, and I want people who are violent, deranged people to be locked up forever. Why? Listen, if someone is a violent, deranged rapist and murderer, and you are protecting someone's life, yes, I believe you have the right to use lethal force to defend yourself and others. If someone is captured and the state tells me that he deserves to die, I'm going to be like, I don't believe you, because we know people like Kamala Harris exist, and that's a challenge. So I certainly think there are people who forfeit their lives when they try to take the lives of others or seriously harm others. These are legally codified things. But when you've got a person dead subdued, I don't mean like literally, I mean like they can't do anything, and then the state approaches me and says he did it, I'll be like, well, look, man, he's not a threat to anybody right now, and I'd rather not risk any percentage of killing an innocent person. I'm not going to sanction the state to kill people. Now, as for the unborn, the issue I have is, one, I think abortion is wrong. I think that it is used as contraception. Contraception by many women. I think it's gross. I think there should be restrictions upon it, but I think there are two things that need to be asked. The limitations of government on determining when a person must provide their body to another person. I don't have a good answer for you. The idea that a woman could be raped and get pregnant, and then the state says your body is now to be shared with someone else. That's a crazy concept to me. My brain, I just can't do it. Sorry. And then people say, well, of course, Tim. So we entertain exceptions for rape and incest. And I say, well, incest is really bad. It's not the same as rape if it's consensual, but I get your point. And that's where I agree with many conservatives, in which case we can say that abortion after a certain amount of time, I don't know, 15, 16 weeks perhaps, and, with exceptions for rape and incest, I say, okay, and the health of the mother, obviously, when it comes to physical health. And that puts me in the traditional pro-choice position. Now you have Democrats who want to remove all restrictions. And so anyway, let me get to the political point I was trying to make. Instead of rambling on, I hate arguing the morals of abortion. Republicans now are arguing. So the first thing is the limitations of government on when they can mandate a person provide their body to another person. The second is determining when a person's constitutional rights begins, because the 14th Amendment says no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process. That means right now the federal government has determined that babies gestated to 8 months are not legal persons. I think that question should be answered. But so long as we have the current ruling of the Supreme Court, the answer is the federal government does not recognize personhood until the baby is outside the womb, which makes no logical sense. A baby at 8.5 months, inside or outside the womb, is the same baby. And so this argument from the left that, well, so long as there's an umbilical cord, the mother can kill it. I'm like, that makes no sense. The Supreme Court needs to make a determination on personhood. I'm sorry, it has to. I'm not saying what answer it should give, but this has to be logically consistent. Republicans saying, like Kari Lake, that the states should decide, I get it. It's a political move you may have to make. That means you've lost the moral argument. But this means you are saying a state can sanction the murder of someone, can kill someone without due process. That to me is crazy. That's crazy. I'll just say right now, life begins at conception. There's no question. Anyone arguing otherwise is making a political argument. It is scientific fact. It's just ridiculous that anyone would argue otherwise. The questions we have, me, for instance, when it comes to pro-choice versus pro-life in the traditional sense is abortion is wrong, should not be used as contraception, should be banned after a certain amount of time, and should only be allowed in these limited circumstances. And it is a difficult position we take, knowing it's morally impossible. Impossible. I don't have any good answers for you. I am not the judge, nor would I ever want to be. I am no king and would never want to be. But I can tell you this is all politics. Good luck, I guess. Next segment's coming up at 6 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.